Usually I say sunny and 70 when I hear this song. That is what I want, and I hear that it is on our way. Not this morning. You're looking out live in downtown Indianapolis. You see those flags waving in the background because we do have a little wind to start, but not the kind of wind that we started the week with. We're glad that you're up with us here at 6 o'clock on your Wednesday morning. You saw that Walker was pretty bundled up. Very smart. It is still a cold start, but we are going to warm up nicely by the weekend.
Yeah, today might be one of those layered days because we are warming up gradually. This morning it's still cold though as you're heading out.
So you still want the layers,
Yeah.
but I think you'll think it's not as bad as the past couple of days. It's still not great,
Right.
but we are trying to warm up.
So what can you do for us?
More sunshine.
Okay,
How about that?
we'll take that.
I'll do. You said sunny and
Yeah.
70.
Yeah.
How about sunshine?
I'll take that today.
Okay, eventually 70.
Give me 70 later.
That's what we're talking about
Okay.
on Saturday. The funny thing is, when we're going to look at the 7-day here in a little bit, when you see that 70 on Saturday, you got to remember it's for about an hour. That's about it. The rest of the day will be cooler than that. That's the max temperature that will hit, but it will be the best hour of the week. Right now this morning, we are running about 10 to 15 degrees warmer, though, than yesterday morning. You'll notice a difference, and we'll have those clear skies. There'll be a lot of sunshine out there this morning, and the sun just makes a big difference. It's going to be a chilly start, of course. We're waking up just barely above freezing for many of us this morning. By lunchtime and recess, low 50s, and we'll end the day somewhere in the mid 50s, depending on where you live. I want to show you some more of your temperatures out there this morning. Down to 33 in Wabash. Good morning in Marion. It's 34, 33 in Hartford City. We've got 39 in Muncie and 36 in Crawfordsville and Lebanon. We've got a 34 reporting in Richmond and in Connorsville, 35 in Newcastle to Pendleton. Good morning in Avon and Brownsburg. We're sitting at 39 and 39 in Greenwood. Farther to the south, we're still holding on to a 42 as long as we can in Bloomington, with mid and upper 30s around Bedford and in Seymour. Today we'll get to the mid 50s, enjoy lots of sun. It will be breezy though at times. If you can block the wind, it'll feel a lot better. But coming up, we're going to let you know about how higher pressure is moving in and how many dry days and maybe warmer days we have ahead. But let's talk traffic this morning as you're headed out the door. This is going to be a big issue, I'm going to tell you, for the next few, about a week. I think they're starting it this morning, and I think it goes until Monday of next week, and that's the estimated timeline. But 65 southbound reduced to one lane from the north split down to Fletcher Avenue. But the thing is, I-70 westbound to 65 south is now really getting backed up. So I want to show you the cameras. This is where you see the closure. This is over by Washington Street. By the way, you can't use Washington Street and to hop onto 65 south. That ramp's also closed for the rest of the week and into the weekend. But check out this backup. Now you're away from downtown, but these folks eventually trying to go to 65 south, we're slow all the way to the north split. And as you're passing downtown, we've got about a 15-minute delay so far this morning and building. Julia?
All right, thanks for that heads up. Well, this morning, an IU lecturer is out of one of her classes over a complaint about one of her lesson plans.
And this complaint reached Senator Jim Banks before university officials. Anna Chalkers is in studio now with more on the material that led to this complaint. Good morning, Anna.
Good morning, ladies. While Jessica Adams was unable to do an on-camera interview with us, she says she used a graphic known as the Pyramid of White Supremacy in her diversity, human rights, and social justice class, and this was on a lecture about systemic racism. This is the graphic she used. As you can see, there are several terms around that pyramid, but the two that sparked the complaint are Make America Great Again and police killings of people of color. Adams says the student accused her of tying those two terms to white supremacy. She denies that claim and says this was all a misunderstanding. Senator Banks' office was the first to receive that complaint, and that's when the deans of her College of Social Work pulled her from the class. One of her students tells us this class typically allows for all kinds of discussion, and what it says what's being accused was never brought up.
None of these things were mentioned at all. And this is something that I say from my perspective. And then also, of course, my cohort is very close. And as soon as we learned that that was what was being said that happened in our class, we were immediately speaking to one another. And we collectively do not recall this having happened.
Adams still teaches 3 classes at IU and is not sure when she'll be able to go back to this specific class. In this school year, there is a new state law where students and employees can report on institutions or other employees if they do not believe that they're really inviting free speech and diversity and expression, so many things. And that's what made this complaint able to go through the investigation process. So coming up, we'll kind of dig into that law and how other students are able to do that as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Anna. Well, there's a battle this morning over boundaries in Westfield. but not about congressional maps, which we've talked a lot about.
This one is about the city's growth, the schools, and of course safety. And last night, school district leaders voted to approve new lines to what they're called rebalance the school district. The plan turns the current Westfield Intermediate School into an elementary school. And district leaders say the city's rapid growth has really strained capacity in this community. They say the changes would move classes out of trailers and actual school buildings would be built. But some parents still say they feel this decision was a rushed one.
They're being forced to vote for something that's still consistently changing. This is an ever-moving target. So I don't know how they're supposed to make an educated choice that's going to affect our children.
If this adopted map makes you change schools, right? I know you're leaving a great school, but I can promise you you're going to a great school.
The superintendent also saying that the committee was trying to draw lines that would last as long as possible. The new boundaries will be implemented at the start of the next school year. Well, we know many of you still have questions about why charges have not been filed in the death of a cleaning crew worker that went to the wrong home and was shot and killed on a porch in Whitestown.
Well, we're told that it could be days still before that decision is made. The prosecutor's office says that there are some unique circumstances to this case, specifically Indiana's Stand Your Ground law. 13 News spoke with a defense attorney who tells us there are three major prongs in cases like this. First, a person must be in a place they have the right to be, like their home. Second, they can't be committing or fleeing from a crime or be the initial aggressor. And third, the person claiming self-defense has to believe that their use of deadly force was reasonable.
13 News legal expert Katie Jackson Lindsay tells us the reasonable piece here is the most important part. The prosecutor must prove the person who used the force did not act reasonably.
It gets a little bit gray where a person is in a situation like this and they're forced to make a decision, a snap-second decision in the moment as to whether or not that level of force is necessary.
She also says a little details like if someone was ringing the doorbell or jiggling the handle with a key can make all the difference. We'll of course be checking in on this case with prosecutors and let you know as soon as we have new information. And right now we do have some breaking news we want to let you know about. These are live pictures here of a fire. This is at a trailer in the west side. It's impacting traffic here. Obviously you can see the damage done to this trailer. This is at Rockville Road near South Lyndhurst Drive.
Yeah, the good news is you can see fire crews don't seem to be actively fighting that fire. It's under control. But all of their equipment in the fire hoses are across Rockville Road. That's what's causing the traffic issues in this area. So this is a part of your morning drive. You will want to have a workaround here just to make things a little bit smoother for you and to stay out of the way of the crews that are trying to finish up this fire. Well, your time is 6:08 this morning. 3 shootings in about 10 hours in Indianapolis.
2 of them unfolding live here yesterday during sunrise. Our Marina Silva was at both of those scenes yesterday and has more on this situation and then yet another murder in the afternoon. Good morning.
Good morning. Well, all 3 of the shootings actually happened in residential areas. We were at 2 of them that happened during sunrise yesterday, and it had all those neighbors waking up and wondering what was going on in their neighborhood. When we were actually out at the Oxford Street shooting, I was knocking on the doors and talking to neighbors. I spoke with one who didn't want to go on camera, and he said it's a very quiet area. That was pretty much the consensus in that neighborhood. He actually heard something right around the time the shooting happened, but he didn't realize what he was hearing until he heard about the shooting. So I want you to take a look at this map that's on your screen right now. This shows where all 3 of those shootings happened in Indianapolis. They're all on the same side of the city. The first one on South Gale Street around 3:30 in the morning. A disturbance led to a man getting shot. We do know it happened inside a home, but as for what led up to that, police are still working to figure that out. Then on North Oxford Street, another shooting. Just 90 minutes later, police found a man with multiple gunshot wounds. Police are still interviewing multiple people, but so far, no arrests. Hours later, around noon, police were called to Fletcher Avenue, where they found another man shot. He died at the hospital. Again, police are still working out the circumstances around this shooting, but I checked online public police records, and it does show that there was an arrest in the case. Sergeant Chris Higgins with IMPD is echoing what we hear time and time again after every homicide across the city.
All three of these incidents could have been stopped had people just walked away, had people found somebody to mediate their argument, had somebody found a resolution that didn't involve a firearm.
We are still waiting on the Marion County Coroner's Office to tell us the victims of these three shootings. We're expecting to hear that later on. But coming up at 6:30, we're digging into the numbers about homicides for 2025 here in Indianapolis. Back to you, ladies.
Well, if you get a text message asking you to support congressional redistricting, you're not the only one.
This is part of a six-figure campaign to get undecided lawmakers to support redrawing Indiana's maps. A group called Fair Maps Indiana is behind this push. It's run by a group with deep ties to President Trump, who've also helped him with his election campaigns.
So part of this includes texting constituents, urging them to sign a petition in support of redistricting and to call their senator.
You know, for decades, we feel that these maps have been drawn at a disadvantage to Republicans in the House. This is an attempt to level the playing field, and we're committed and locked in through the special session and do our part to help, and hopefully the Senate does the right thing and votes to, to redraw our lines.
Next month, lawmakers will consider redrawing the state's congressional districts to shore up Republican seats in the 2026 midterm elections.
This is happening after months of pressure from the White House, but those against the idea have signed petitions of their own. Senate leaders indicated a few weeks ago that they don't have enough votes yet, though.
Well, coming up on 6/12, a vote is expected today, a big one, to finally end the record-long government shutdown. The next steps needed to get federal agencies back up and running.
And the Supreme Court extends a freeze on fully funding SNAP. How the ongoing delay is impacting local food banks.